anything here today.
And why the millennial generation is starting to give up because they can't afford to get a good job or own a house.
8 million Venezuelans voting for this assembly, saying it's actually less than 3.
It is. And people are going to start rioting in the streets.
Was reported to have asked Putin for military support that would help him stay in power.
We will make America safe again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
And they ignore him. And 8 more years goes by till Bernie himself finally admits to his sons, hey, I've been running a Ponzi scheme.
Does its dominance mean it can use the alliance for its own ends?
Since 1981, bond yields, also known as coupon rates, have just gone down and down and down.
The Federal Reserve note will be your biggest financial liability.
RT Live Talk. We're live. Sunday night, the 28th day of the month of July. And after taking a couple days off, I'm back. And I wanted to share an article that I just actually happened to finish reading. And I thought it was worth sharing this evening, so I won't be on long. Intending on getting back to normal schedule starting this week. But in the meantime, I'll give it a second before we get into this evening's discussion. So it's been a while since I was actually done a Sunday night. But looking forward to find out what's going on and to share with you an article that I think is very important. As you can tell from the title of this video stream tonight, also it has to do with the gold standard, and gold is being mentioned more and more in the mainstream news, and I don't think it's by accident. And so I want to share some thoughts as well as an article I just came across and go from there. But as always, want to check in and see who is tuning in, see who actually got notified, because I personally am trying to watch the stream myself, make sure everything goes smoothly, and I haven't been notified yet, but I'm going to keep it moving. Excuse me, but with that being the case, welcome a couple people in the chat. My name is Mike, the host of RT Live Talk. There's a number above my head, 313-462-0027. Phone lines are open. If you want to call in and share what's on your mind, we'd love to hear it. And let me check in via, see who's in the chat. We got Brian, say what's up. We got Spirit King. Scott Robinson, long time, yes. Maria says, close the Fed. Sterling Hope, good evening. Jeff, I was notified. Good deal. So with that being the case, I want to, Marsha M., I appreciate that love offering to the channel. Thank you. Appreciate that very much. Jeff Doris says, hey, Mike, long time no see. Jovan says, what's up, Chico? We got Ernest in the building. We got Brian says, I'm a trucker sleeping in a shady area of Chicago. Fun. So we got Mr. Brian on the road. And so I still haven't been notified yet. So I'm trying to figure out, are they still, okay, I see. But I wasn't notified myself that I'm streaming. But that being the case, I want to just dive into this article because I think it's worthy of you guys taking a look at for yourself. And so it has to do with gold. And I want to share my thoughts in regards to this whole Judy Shelton appointee to the Fed and how I don't think she really will even be considered heavily for several reasons. But the primary reason is I'm looking at her bio just to find out who this young lady is. And she doesn't have a banking background. And more importantly, she didn't work for one of the too big to fail banks, which means she's not qualified to be a part of the inner circle, which happens to be that whole organization in the form of that central bank there. So I think President Trump is deliberately bringing forth people that are willing to even talk about gold, even though the primary candidates he tried to put forth don't really have much of a banking background in reference to the too big to fail banks, but they are sound money advocates, which I believe for some reason kind of plays into the president's way of disrupting things by bringing gold back into the mainstream, bringing it back to the limelight more so. And so, but there's an article that I want to share, and it's in reference to a comment that a senator made, which makes a lot of sense as to why having a gold standard or bringing gold back into the equation at this current point, it sounds like a good idea on the surface because, if you're watching this channel or if you're in an alternative media realm, then you know the importance of gold because it is money. But yet majority of the world have no clue of what money is. So it's not a good idea in the grander scheme of things. But I'll share that my thoughts on that in a minute. But we got Digital Nomad. It says, hello from Sterling Heights. We got BC Matrix says, hi, I was notified. Gold and Silver Man, thumbs up. We got Make America Great Country, Chicago. Mike, good night. So what have you been? I haven't seen you making new videos. Corey, good question, man. Schedule-wise, last couple weeks, a little change in my schedule. So by the time I get settled in, I'm tired and just, not able to stick to my script. But yet, as we approach the middle point, the end of summer, schedule-wise, should be open up a little bit more. So I tend on doing my live streams and trying to do one in earlier in the day as well. So with that being the case, Trump wants to go starting again. He's lingering on gold, pro-gold people. Makes sense. Digital nomad. Trump knows what gold is. Trump knows gold is money. He knows that the Federal Reserve note is basically, not going to be around much longer. And I think he's deliberately appointing and talking about appointing people to the Fed to cause problems, because he's obviously it's going to be this. If President Trump, which he more than likely will, win a second term, if he wins a second term, which he probably will, it's going to be Trump versus central bankers. I mean, that's going to be one of his many goals of trying to, I'm not sure how he's going to oversee this bankruptcy that's need to take place, or this the reboot of the system. But I think he's deliberately stirring the pot up so that come this next term, he will definitely, hopefully, open up his bag of tricks as to what he's trying to do in the grander scheme of things. But the problem is, I think a part of this premature talk of a gold standard is designed to bring gold back into the subject matter for a lot of people, because apart from the older crowd and those that are aware of this debt issue we have, most people don't know the importance of gold. So I think it gives people time to ask questions about why they're talking about gold. Why is the mainstream news talking about gold prices now? Why is gold becoming so important to people? And I think it has to do with basically Trump is probably, in a sense, giving the public a chance to educate themselves or be educated on the subject matter of money, because gold challenges the current paradigm we're in now. Because once again, I'm going to actually pull this article up here so you guys can see what I'm talking about, because it's quite interesting that once again we have a politician, Mr. Richard Shelby out of Alabama, who mentions that, if gold was to basically be brought back into the equation, it would shatter a lot of people's dreams. And so I was reflecting on that, and I'm thinking, like, that is very true. So obviously, Richard Shelby, he knows the problems with, in the next couple of years or however it would probably be, rolled out, the idea of them trying to put gold back into the limelight in the form of making it an anchor to the Federal Reserve note, because the gold is not designed to be anchored down, especially in a debt-based system. So it's going to cause a lot of problems, but I'll get into that in a minute. And as always, if you guys have any thoughts or feel free to call in, but I want to make sure I touch on this article. But I'll actually put this article in the chat for those that might want to glance at it directly. But it came out earlier today, and I actually just got a chance to read it. But it's very, very lengthy, but yet there was one statement here that really stood out. And I'll actually jump down to that statement. And this is a quote. And it says here, the gold standard would probably shatter a lot of people's dreams around the world right now, says Senator Richard Shelby, a Republican from Alabama, says a key member of the banking committee, which will vet her nomination. So he's going to be one of the guys that interrogates her. He says, quote, there was no reason to get off of it. And so when I actually thought about that, shatter people's dreams. Imagine we have a world of debt based upon paper units and digital illusions of wealth in the form of all these financial products that are all just basically, code on people's screens, all the hedge funds. I just saw recently that Vanguard topped $1 trillion. I think it's $1 trillion worth of assets under management in ETFs. And so that's all digital blips on the screen that's on Vanguard's server, which are linked to people's names and certain account numbers that people can log in to the Vanguards.com or whatever it might be, look up their portfolios or whatnot, or their holdings, and they'll see some digital numbers, and it gives the idea that there's something there. But yet everyone knows that apart from what's on that screen and the $1 trillion of things that stuff is supposedly rolled into, the chance of people actually being able to withdraw all that the way that they probably intend on doing is not likely. And so I'm thinking about people's dreams are tied into the mainstream narrative continuing to go on smooth with no interruptions. And so when it comes to conventional investing for the younger crowd, as well as retirement savings and all the things, financial products that have been given to us, all those vehicles or mechanisms are tied into the fact that they're not held down or anchored down by anything other than the need for more debt creation to expand the monetary base, to hopefully have the younger population to continue to invest in those vehicles so that, the markets can grow, supposedly like normal markets. But I'll share my thought a little bit more on that in a second. But we have a call. Let's find out what's going on here. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? Hello? Make sure everybody there. Anybody there? Going once, going twice? Made up lost them. Give me a call back. I'll try to get you on here. But back to what I was saying. So yeah, think about this. We have a senator, and I actually pulled this guy up here. The quote is, the gold standard would probably shatter a lot of people's dreams around the world right now. The gold standard. And so here we have Judy Shelton, a possible Fed appointee, talking about gold and the need for stabilizing and removing the power from the Fed, which would completely disrupt the whole debt-based model, which I don't think is going to fly. And I'm trying to make sure, let me see here. I'm attempting to answer the call, but for some reason, I'm not sure what's going on. But once again, it might not have the opportunity to talk via phone, but keep trying to call and I'll get you on if I can. But yeah, so here we have Richard Shelby. It says official Twitter page of U.S. Senator Richard Shelby. And so this is this gentleman here. He's the one that's talking about it would ruin people's dreams. So just think about that. Majority of the world, an overwhelming majority of the world, are all tied into digital illusions of wealth in the form of dollar-denominated, Federal Reserve denominated so-called assets that are sitting on servers somewhere in the financial sector that they're intending on. They're told that will grow at 7-8% yield per year, yada yada. But yet we all know that that's not real. But yet here we have a gentleman here talking about dreams will be shattered. So just put yourself in that position there. Put yourself out there as one of the people who fall into that category, possibly, that if the U.S. was to all of a sudden implement gold back into the system. And, the primary problem with that is that majority of the 320 million citizens in this country have no clue, A, what gold is in reference to it being money itself, and two, realize the importance of having physical gold in their possession or even in some type of vault or whatever as a insurance policy against our current currency. And so there stands to be a lot of dreams that will be lost or upended or however you guys want to put it. But yet this is something that, I would imagine I probably won't see that quote, on a CNN or Fox. But once again, I didn't go looking for it. But yet, if you actually read through more of this article, it gives more information as to why. So we do have a caller here. Let's find out what's going on. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, you.
Hello?
This is Pat from Alabama. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Pat from Alabama. What's on your mind this evening, my friend?
Just a little thought. You remember back during the Great Depression in the 1930s, I lived it, you read it.
Okay. You lived it, huh? Okay,
Gold was $32 or $29 or something like that, and then they said man can't have gold in his possession, so they took it away from you.
I want to say it was $20.42, and then they changed it within a couple months to $35.70 or something like that. But go ahead. I get your point.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. Me and Captain Morgan here.
You and Captain. Go ahead, man.
The main thing is that an ounce of gold was worth in the 30s, $39 or whatever.
Yeah.
And so less than an ounce of ounce of silver could buy an ounce of gold. I mean, think about it. 39 ounces of money back then was less than an ounce of silver. $1 was.
Yeah,
so you could buy an ounce of gold for $39.
Yeah. So
not ounces.
So 39 single like silver Morgan dollars could be exchanged for or 35 for so before the devaluation from 20 to 30, 20 silver dollars could get you 1 ounce of gold. Or 1 ounce of gold, or $20 St. Augustine piece, and then after the conversion, it took 35 silver Morgans.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now here's what I'm talking about. All of a sudden, we're paying $1,400 for an ounce of gold.
Yeah.
What happened to our dollar?
Yeah. So I got a graph on the screen right as you're talking, and so. I removed the adjusted for inflation portion of it, and it actually gives us an actual timeline of how everything is panned out over the last, 100, give or take 100 years. So, let me see, in April 1915, gold was for an ounce was $19.25 roughly, and so of course it shows a big devaluation. In 1932, 33 July, looks like it was $20. Then it jumped up to $26, and then it went up to $35 even. So that little drop there was a devaluation. They devalued the currency. They devalued the paper in relation to the metals. And then from the chart on, we can see once Nixon took it off in 71, it went from 40, 52. And it peaked, as you mentioned, at 19,000. Was it? It says here 1622, but I think it was 1900 rather. So this graph here gives you an idea of the dangers of the paper to gold ratio in reference to the value proposition or lack thereof.
Yeah, there is no value in a dollar,
or in a Federal Reserve note, to be more specific. Because a dollar, according to the weight aspect. Go ahead.
I watched this gentleman called himself uneducated economist. Got to give him a little plug there.
Okay.
But he had the old dollar bills where they were reserve bills or federal notes.
Silver certificates?
And what they said, and they turned into a contract, and then they just turned into paper.
Yeah, I was I watched a Jim Rickards interview for his little book promotion, and he was talking about the fine print on the Federal Reserve note, to where it's a document, it's a contract. Every note is a contract, and if you know law, you know how to interpret law. You can just read the documentation as to the parties that the note is amongst. And so it talks about, we got the treasurer on one side, and we got somebody else on the other side, and so those people sign this documentation that we so happen to, validate with our confidence and trust in it. But yet, it's a contract between the government and the Federal Reserve and the Federal Reserve Bank itself that we take on as citizens of this country. But in actuality, it's not our problem, but it is our problem because our lives are based upon it. So it's a lose-lose if you don't know exactly what this legal documentation entails.
Exactly. Yeah. But just to leave you with a thought,
yeah,
it's that if $39 less than 100 years ago could buy an ounce of gold, and now we're paying over $1,000, $1,400 for an ounce of gold, how much is your money really worth?
How much is your currency, your national currency, really worth?
Your Fiat.
Nowhere near as much as it was for, those that utilize it 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, clearly. And the problem, based upon the article, is that millions of people's dreams are related to this, not gold. And so bringing gold back into the equation, they're going to have to devalue this even more again to hold all these notes and digits accountable that's being created. That's going to be a problem, because even in an article here, it talks about, the Fed having to shift their mandate to trying to determine what an actual Federal Reserve price would be for gold, which would be very hard. So we all know commentators talk about 10, 20, 30,000, whatever they want to throw out there. But we know, looking at this graph here, you know, at a prior high of 16 or 19,000, whatever is on this graph here, minus adjusted for inflation, it's going to be a lot higher. So this graph will go exponentially. It's going to go straight up like a rocket to account for all these pieces of paper and digits that are what people consider to be money. So, but yeah, that's where it's at, man.
Well, Mike,
yeah,
me and Captain Morgan's going to continue our discussion. Glad you spread some light on what we were talking about earlier.
Yes, sir. I appreciate
and
you,
you take it easy, brother.
All right,
nice
you too,
talking to you.
Be good, my friend. Thank you.
Sure.
Him and Captain Morgan. Pat, appreciate you calling in, my friend. Yeah, man. So that's real talk. So here's a problem. To go back to this article, every Federal Reserve, as I always mention, is I can never get tired of saying this. Every Federal Reserve note will be held accountable in relation to how many pieces of these notes does it take to acquire 1 ounce. And so from this graph that I got on the screen right here, we can see that over time, it takes more units of this kind to acquire, you know, to be redeemed for actual money in the form of gold. So if gold came back into the picture on a real monetary sense, man, like, you know, it's going to be problematic because not too many people actually have physical gold. But that's my little 2 cents. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike. It's Marcus.
How you doing, my friend? What's your mind tonight?
How are you?
I'm doing good,
hey,
boss.
I noticed tonight you were talking about gold, gold standard.
Yes, sir.
And if you go to, it's called goldback.io,
Mm-hmm.
they're actually releasing a dollar format, $5 and 10s and 50s. It's got 34 days before they actually come out with it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's called goldback.io.
Okay.
And you'll see the countdown.
Yeah.
And actually, it will be releasing to 5,000 cities and 200 countries.
Good deal. So, and that's a good thing about, you know, the subject of gold or just getting back to sound money is that there's so many projects / new vehicles that allow people to get back into gold at small forms. It's affordable with these units here. So from what you're talking about, from what Care Bars, and there's like a Glint Pay, there's a digital system coming out. So yeah, so there's more than enough ways to help people get gold in their possession. Now it's just a matter of will it catch on fast enough before this current unit of count right here becomes even more problematic. So time will tell, but you know, goldback.io, I appreciate you for sharing that knowledge, my friend.
Well, let me say this. It's actually physical money, paper money, but it's created out of gold.
Okay.
You probably want to take a look at it. It's actually gold, like $1 you can fold up and put in your pocket.
Yeah.
It's not the digital format that I'm talking about. And it's a guy on YouTube also have a video where he actually showing the ones, 5s, and 10s. Like I say, the countdown is like 34 days now.
But good deal, man. So I'm gonna check it out. I appreciate you calling in and sharing that knowledge with us, man. It's always good to hear about more options and alternatives out there. So I appreciate you calling in, my friend.
And one more thing.
Yes, sir.
It's actually being created in Utah City. So,
okay. So we know that Utah is silver and gold friendly because it's now legal tender, which has already been there. So yeah, hopefully more states, such as Utah and I think Texas now and all those western states, hopefully they recognize the importance of giving people the option of having gold and silver without having tax on top of it. So, but hey, man, appreciate you calling in. Thank you.
No problem.
All right, be good. Yeah, man, good stuff, man. I appreciate the insight there. Let me check in with the chat, man, and about to get ready to dial back. I just wanted to share this article this evening, and then also this week will be Fed week, so we're going to hear from Mr. Jerome Powell in a couple of days, and everyone's anticipating a rate cut, which is basically saying guaranteed QE. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey,
Hey, how's it going, Mike? It's low blood pressure from Corpus Christi, Texas. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Low blood pressure. Is your blood pressure really low this evening or what?
I just had some Coronas. I'm kind of relaxed right now. I'm sitting by the fire.
That's good, my friend. What's on your mind tonight?
Hey, I wanted to ask you something, man. Everybody's talking about gold is insurance, silver is insurance. It's not insurance, Mike. Why is everybody saying it's insurance?
Well, in reference to gold and silver actually being money, it's referred to as a hedge against national currency. So it's just an analogy people tend to use as a way of helping people understand the importance of having it, I think. But go ahead, what's your point?
But I hate it. I hate it when people say that, Mike. Like insurance, all it is you give liability. Someone else takes your liability, and hopefully they're solvent enough to pay when something happens, when you have a tragedy.
Yeah.
And gold is money. It's not, hey, maybe another company is going to pay me, a third party. It's money. Stop calling it insurance, people. It's not insurance.
Now watch this. The best way, or the reason why people probably even mention insurance in that regards, because it's a way of helping people who don't know that gold is money to understand how important it is. Because a good analogy would be, and I use this a lot, like how come you can insure every single thing that you possess physically, your house, your car, your jewelry, contents of your house, but you can't insure your money, your currency. Like you can't insure your national currency. And so that's kind of interesting, don't you think? You can insure your life, you know, your hands, whatever, but you can't insure your national currency. And so when people mention insurance, it's a way of protecting yourself. You hope you don't need it, but if you do have to use it, or if it's needed, you got a nice policy in your possession, physical possession, that you can fall back on if your currency fails you, which currency unfortunately will fail because that's what all currencies do. But I get your point though. It is money, but people who don't know it's money probably can relate to it better as insurance, I think.
I just don't like it. Look, Mike, you have gold.
Yeah.
You could go buy something with gold. You can't go buy something with your Geico policy. Try to get that piece of paper and say, hey, could I buy a candy bar with it? They're going to laugh at you.
Yeah, good point. And that's the thing. Depending on the size of the gold, and that's one of the things where at this current point there will be no reason to even use your metals, because you want to hold on to those things because they have long lasting value, and you want to utilize these debt units here as much as you can. So I wouldn't even want to use my gold for a candy bar, even though I have the cash gold notes, which are a smaller denomination. But still, I'll probably use those because they're designed for that. But beyond that, yeah, it's gonna be hard to move gold unless you got small increments. So, but hey man, I appreciate you calling in, Low Blood.
Okay, can I say one more thing though?
Go ahead.
Okay, I was listening to, I don't even remember who I was listening to. Anyways, a little podcast. They were saying that in the Supreme Court, that dollar bills, U.S. currency, fiat, it doesn't even exist. It's not real property. Like, your property is really your labor that you trade for it, So dollars don't even exist. It's like some kind of fantasy land. They don't even have a definition.
Yeah. And so, yeah, when you go dive deep down into it, there's so much terminology. I actually got a book right here that breaks it down to that deep level. And so there's court cases, and Supreme Court they used to hear cases against the redemption of currency notes and stuff like that. So there's all types of cases. I got them in this little history book here, but beyond that, if you want to get legal with it, then sure. But yet, I know, we all know here that's watching, where currency stands. So in comparison to gold. So I appreciate you calling in, my friend.
All right. When you make it down to Corpus, hit me up, man.
For sure. I will do so. Be good.
All right, Mike. Have a good night. Thank you.
Bye. Good talk. As always, people, for those in the chat, I see a lot of back and forth. Not able to get to it all, but feel free, if you're enjoying the back and forth, don't be afraid to donate a thumbs up to the channel. Show your support for the channel. And I'll take the last call. Hello, caller. What's your name and where you calling from?
Mike, Tim, Colorado again.
Tim, Colorado. How you doing, my friend?
Good. I got good callers tonight, by the way.
Thank you, sir.
I got two questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, everybody has an opinion, right?
Okay, yeah.
I think there's 5 precious metals. What are they?
That's a question you're asking me. 5 precious metals. Precious metals.
Yes.
Okay, I'll say gold, silver, bronze,
Yep.
platinum, palladium.
Yep. And what's the fifth one?
That's 5.
Oh, wait. Say it again. Gold, silver, palladium, platinum, and what?
Copper.
Oh, bronze. You said bronze.
Bronze. Copper.
Yeah, nah.
I meant copper. I get your point.
I'd rather have lead.
That's 6. So if
No, forget the bronze and the copper. You need lead, buddy, or you can't protect the other ones. Okay. So next question.
Precious metal.
Which is heavier, lead or silver?
Lead or silver? I would assume silver, but I don't really have lead or silver handy to compare the two. Which one is heavier according to your knowledge?
I don't know. That's why I asked you.
I think I think silver. I think silver is heavier. I'm trying to find some
I
silver.
think lead, but it
depends
I'll look it up.
It depends
All right,
on.
you have a great night.
Thanks,
Keep
man.
up the great work.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
It depends on the quantity of silver and lead. Like if you got, straight bullet. If you got a lot of bullets, a box of bullets, of course it's gonna be heavier. But Tim, as always, my friend, I appreciate you. So yeah, I'm about to dial back, man. I just want to share this article with you guys. So for those that happen to be chiming in, I talked about this article here, and I'll include it in the link. But I'd encourage everybody to take a chance to take a glance at it. But it talks about Trump's Fed pick. I'm going to cut this down. Excuse me. Trump Fed pick pushes for gold, troubles lawmakers. And then, this guy here, right here, Richard Shelby, talked about how it's going to destroy a lot of people's dreams worldwide. And the reason I believe he said that was because, A, people don't know what gold is in reference to it being money. And 2, people don't have it because, for the last 40 plus years, there's been no need to have it as money because we've been in a fiat currency debt-based world, which is obviously becoming problematic. And as of this week, Jerome Powell will definitely begin. Actually, I got an article right here. It says the Fed is about to cut rates for the first time since 2008 as trade war weighs on the economic growth. So for the first time in 11 years, they're about to cut rates, which means they're going to make it more favorable for those that are able and aware of how to take advantage of the system by going into debt. So those that are able to utilize debt to their advantage will profit heavily, and it's going to create a much wider wealth gap because the 1% or those that are in the know will take out more debt at the expense of those that have no clue of why and how to do that to profit themselves. But yet more people will probably go out and consume debt and with their own luxury and toys and stuff like that depreciates. So it's a difference in mindset, but yet that's what's because of this. They're going to try to keep this thing going a little bit longer, and we'll see if it works. But this time it's going to be a global event. It's not going to be an isolated event that will strike here. So I'll put this article in the chat as well. But with that being the case, about to call it in for this evening. Just wanted to get on because it's been a while, but I intend on getting back on my P's and Q's. Says we got Jeff Doris says, Mike, can you talk about UniCredit laying off 10,000 employees and Nissan laying off 12,000 and GM down 9 store this week, closing down 900 store this week. Okay. So yeah, Jeff, I will touch on this because this is something worthy of being mentioned. And so here's an article. Here's something here that I did not cover last week, but for those that may not have known about it, whenever it comes up, here's something that people should be aware about. So this is what's happening right now as we speak. If this article decides to open up. Maybe it's not, but let me give it a second here. If this article opens up, we can talk about this more. But if it doesn't, I'll have to call it in. But basically, UniCredit plans to lay off another 10,000 jobs as part of a new 2020 initiative. Says UniCredit has 86,000 employees, so they're about to cut. That's going to be a problem. And so let me actually. For whatever reason, the article is not coming up. So let me try to figure this out somehow. But anyway, so I'll actually copy this. Here we go. It's coming up. All right. So apologize for that.
Going up.
Article. It says UniCredit plans to lay off another 10,000 jobs as part of a new 2023 business plan. So once again, this is more of what I've talked about for several months now about companies reforming or restructuring. And when profitability is threatened because of the trade war as well as just the overall slowdown, people aren't consuming like they used to, there's no profit. And when there's no profit, the first line or the second line, first or second line of the first or second things to go for any corporation or business itself is either you make some internal transitions, lowering prices, closing down, cutting some expenditures right away, or you lay off. So here's an example of laying off. So for those that are employees of UniCredit, I'm not even sure what UniCredit is, but for employees of UniCredit, I'm sure when they got that email, or they probably haven't got it yet, they're heavily concerned on how this thing will pan out for them. And then here's another one here. Nissan layoffs. So Nissan is cutting 12,500 jobs. And so once again, the CEO, I read his article before, talks about profitability. They're not selling cars like they used to, and they had some internal scandal with prior leadership. So they're cutting jobs. So that's between what we got 12,000 jobs here. The other one, so that's 25,000-ish type jobs. All of a sudden, think about this. When people are concerned with their employment status, they're not really going to be overly excited to go out and spend. So that means the money velocity, which a lot of people talk about. My man Gregory Manarino talks about money velocity. It's at all-time lows, which means that's problematic because the debt-based system is designed for people to spend. We have an economy based upon consumption. 70% of our GDP is geared towards consumption. If people aren't consuming, that's a problem. And then what else we got out there? Jeff mentioned. Let me find out about. There's another one you mentioned, Jeff. What was the other one? Let me find it, and then I'm gonna dial back. I think I lost it. But so just if you type in layoffs, you'll probably find a lot of other things that's happening out there. But anyway, man, I appreciate you guys tuning in this evening. As always, it's great to connect back with you guys. For those that are just tuning in, definitely I put the article for you guys to check out because I think it's very important that you guys read this because I don't think Judy Shelton will be confirmed, because she's not a part of she doesn't have a too big to fail banking background, so she's not going to be in there. And then as I mentioned, this gentleman here mentioned that gold is going to destroy a lot of people's dreams. So ask yourself this question, do you fall into the category that this gentleman is referring to in reference to those that don't have physical metal in their possessions? Because those that don't have, AKA money, and that's the thing, in this debt-based paper and digital world, there's trillions, $450 trillion worth of debt in existence globally. So when if all 450 trillion, digital, because most of it, it's all digits, because there's only 1.7 trillion pieces of these, but there's 455 trillion worth of digits. So if all those digits were held accountable, what do you think the price of an ounce of gold would be? I couldn't begin to count it. But it's basically the supply of gold above ground and those that's hidden in vaults that we don't know about times or divided by 455 trillion, which lets me know that it will be very expensive for people to afford. But for those that are aware of just, in my opinion, this course is one man's opinion, in reference to the fact that the majority of the planet do not actually have physical gold. It doesn't take much weight to position yourself in a place where you probably won't lose as much depending on your situation. But yet if you are, one of the people who are on government aid, which means that you'll probably fall in the category of not having much. If you were aware of what's happening and you utilize some of that government, help, assistance to go out and get some small incremental weight and do it incrementally throughout time, you'll be surprised that, once all this stuff rebalances or the system reboots, and if gold and silver is mentioned in a system, you'll probably be in the top echelon of society, given the fact that, the crumbs worth of weight that you probably have will do you well when everything is revalued and a new currency issued that will definitely reflect in price of a higher value in reference to metals than what these current Federal Reserve notes have now. So just my 2 cents, just my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. But as always, for those that have enjoyed the back and forth, don't be afraid to click the button beneath this video here and donate a thumbs up. That's all I ask for. As always, if you're new to the channel, there's a lot of resources here. Go to rethinkingthedollar.com and you can get all the free resources there. I have ebooks and videos. I've interviewed 80 people, a lot smarter than me, that confirms what this show is all about. And then also cash gold notes for those that are interested. It's the smallest denomination of gold that you can have in your possession. Link to that is below. And then also the RTD coin. You know, I'm definitely want to make you guys aware of that. But other than that, that's it for tonight. It's been 40 minutes, longer than I was intending on doing. But once again, once you get behind the mic, I have fun. And then for those that want to get weighed up directly, Gold Team is still going. So other than that, be blessed, be safe. I'll see you guys later. Let's try this again tomorrow night. Peace.